have the beautiful Sona hair today. And right now we've gotten her hair done, but I'm going to do her skin prep in front of you guys. So she has these nice, thick, gorgeous brows. I'm going to show you guys something that I also do when I feel someone has some additional facial hair that I want to get rid of. So I'm going to use a clean, brand new, this is like a face razor that I use to just get rid of some excessive hair before we go into skin prep. So I'm going to apply these under eye pads on her right now. So these are great for making the skin area look nice and radiant. And I'm going to apply some of my hydrating overnight mask on her skin. Now, Sona is someone who has slightly oilier skin. She also has pores happening, especially on her cheek area. The rest of the skin is great, but even this skin is great. The idea is to show you guys different kinds of skin types as well. So she has slightly oilier skin, and for her in my skin prep I'm also going to add something to combat the pores looking smaller. But also don't ever forget, like I said, with every skin type, hydration is key. Okay, because remember, right now we've gone over her face with a razor. It is slightly, like I said, abrasive, so it's also going to be soothing on the client's skin because they've just had a razor go over their face. So I'm going to apply both of these things on her face for at least 10 minutes before we go ahead. So now I'm going to remove these from under her eyes. Just look up, Sona. So this is one of my favorite serums to make the pores look nice and smaller. So I'm going to layer that on top of a hydration mask. As you guys already have seen, I'm going to do her eyes first, then her skin. So this can stay on her skin to do its magic while we start on the eye makeup. And I'm just going to blend this color out to make her color correcting color for her eyes. Color correction is incredibly important, and you usually neutralize a dark color by applying a darker color on top, and then you can put your finishing concealers on top to make it look lighter. She also has eyelash extensions on right now. It's also something that as a makeup artist you will end up encountering. They can be sometimes a nuisance when you're trying to go in, etc. But it is something that you want to work with. Sometimes people get scared of going closer when someone's wearing lash extensions because you don't want gaps and all to show, then that just doesn't look very attractive. Her eyebrows are darker, but I want to not darken them further, and she's got a great shape, and it's already in great shape. So just gonna go in and pencil just slightly. I'm gonna start creating the smoky eye. So the first area I'm going to go into is her inner waterlines, just taking it away from her eyeball a little bit so I don't hurt her eye. And we're going to do it on the top lash line as well. So keep your eye, look down, Sona. I'm just going to tight line. This feels quite irritating, which is why I like to get it over and done initially in case someone waters, so it doesn't make much of a mess. And I'm going to create a line under the eye, under that lash line, waterline. And I'm going to drag it till the front. Just cleaning this area now. I love using dry buds to kind of blend with. You have to work with the fluid line quickly. It has a propensity to kind of dry and then become harder to blend. So I'm doing a lot of motion that's back and forth and then some circular as well. And I'm going to now apply this all over where I've applied the dark. So just going back and forth again, applying it everywhere here. Now I'm going to take the lighter color, the lighter brown, on the brush. And now apply that just in the crease area. Back and forth. and slightly outwards as well. So we take it back and forth here and then blend it outside as well. And I'm going to apply it right where I would apply the highlighter on the brow bone. Just going back and forth on the color to merge it with the dark shadows that we've just applied there. And I'm just going to wipe around the eye now. It's something that I keep doing to make my shape, so I'm just cleaning on the outer corner as well to start giving me some shape, which is why I like doing the eyes first. The product, when it falls off, can be dusted off and you can really create some gorgeous dewy skin in the end. I'm taking a dry bud now. I'm also going in the inner corner just to blend that out a little bit. So cotton buds are great to just blend any makeup that's happening. So it's not so much as a straight liner, it's like flicks that are going up like that, right? And then I'm going to take a blending brush and just blend them upwards immediately. So the eyeliner also starts to look like a dark shadow. Just gonna add that just to the outer corner. So outer corner here and then slightly higher up on the crease just till there. I'm going to go ahead now and apply some lightness in the beginning of her eyes, and I'm just going to place it in her inner corner going up and down. And a lot of it is going to be blended into the concealer and foundation, so don't worry about the edges as such right now. I'm going to take this almost like it's like a gunmetal black kind of shimmery, and I'm going to start placing that in her inner socket. So the idea is to slowly layer this. Just going to do it very slowly. And just patting is a lot of patting as opposed to swiping, which tends to get rid of the product as opposed to blending it in. The shadow does this nice kind of shimmer by itself. So I'm just taking it in the inner corner as well, making sure I'm blending that. Now I'm going to take some mist here on my hand and I'm just going to wet my brush just a bit. I'm going to go back in the shadow and apply that just in the center. So I'm going to just foil it slightly for the center now. So you can start seeing this almost kind of lovely kind of surface that has that sheen to it. I'm just spraying some more on my hand. And I'm going to layer one more layer of the foiling to just flatten the pigment a little bit, make it merge with the other black shadows, liner, etc. to start making it look like one flat surface. I'm just going to come in with a slightly smaller brush now, and I'm just going to also blend the inner corner, but I feel this requires a slightly smaller brush. So I'm going in there with this brush, and again, so now if you just turn here and there, can you see a nice lovely sheen has kind of happened on the eye. So you're going to keep looking down now. So I'm going to take my wipe again, wipe off any of that residue. I'm going to take my glitter glue now and apply it on my flat shader. And I'm going to dab it over this surface area where I've applied all this nice smoky kind of an effect that we created. Make sure you're dabbing, not swiping. This product is kind of tacky. It has like it sticks, right? So you make sure the movement is very much like what you're seeing me do. So take like a soft, fluffy brush, and I'm going to slowly dust that on top of this area, so that it starts to look like a veil of shimmer as opposed to shimmer that kind of just looks like a full layer, like opaque kind of shimmer. I want it to look more see-through. Just going to apply that. So now I'm going to dip into my antique gold glitter, because she has both silver and gold work on her shirt, so I like to do this as well. And I'm going to layer that on top of here, this particular glitter as well. Just going back with my glitter in the center. And I'm using a flat brush now because I'm pressing pigment into the eye now. So you can see that this nice kind of shimmery kind of sheen that's happening on the eye now. Just right next to the eye, because I still want that smoky effect to happen on top. So we won't take it very high, we're just gonna follow her own shape like that. I've sometimes seen clients walk in with lashes that don't suit them and still wear them just because it's a Huda lash that they saw on some influencer. So make sure that you get a lash that suits your eye. I'm going to cut it a bit from the sides, never from the front, guys. I'm going to take the back of a brush, dip it into my glue and just apply it to the band. I'm just going to wait it to dry just a bit before we apply it to Sona's eye. Open and look down. Now with her own external lash, make sure you kind of press it down a little bit before you go in with this one, alright? I'm just going to dust it one more time before we apply this lash. I'll press down her lash a little bit first so I have room to get in there and put it at the bottom of her lash line. So keep your eye open, Sona. Because another mistake I see people making open in eyelash extensions is look down, open and look down. But when they have a bride with eyelash extensions, they don't really get into the base. So if you see, it's nice and fluttery kind of an eyelash. Now I'm going to take my brush that had the original concealing colors and I'm just going to blend out the sharpness of this a little bit. I'm just taking the end of the brush we put concealer with and then I'm going to take my smaller beauty blender and just blend this out a little bit to soften, because we want it to look like a smoky edge as opposed to a very sharp edge. I'm going to go under her eye and start blending this color out here. So just going back and forth, lower lash line. So just back and forth again to create that smokiness under the eye also. So I'm wiping again. And I'm using this kind of dull gold kind of shadow. And I'm just going to blend that in the outer corner. And I'm going to do the same blend in the inner corner as well here. Just right here. So just taking it back in the outer corner. And I'm applying another layer to just cover the strip of the lash. And just go over the entire liner to make sure that the strip of the lash is nice and blended. I'm just going to brush it on top of where I've applied the liner to kind of just smoke out this particular eyeliner and just blend it out a bit. If you can tell, just that little blend on top of the eyeliner just blends out that liner. Now I'm going to take some black eyeshadow from the same palette on this side where open and look down. The outer corner of the liner we're going to blend it in, and then I'm going to take it slightly higher up and do the same. And now I'm going to use this to just take it out a little bit. Not the dark black, because that will look too intense if we also drag it out with just black. So I'm mixing both of these to use as the transition color, so it's softer. Even though it's a very intense smoky eye, the edges can be blended out in a slightly softer manner like that. I'm just going back and forth, and now I'm going to use eyeliner one more time at the base of her lash. Just because we blended shadow there, we don't want to have shadow on the strip of the lash. I'm going to take all of that off her face. The hydrating mask we had on, the pore serum we had on. And I was speaking to Sona now. She is someone who is shooting a lot nowadays. You can tell that there's a little bit of sun damage that's happening on her forehead. So when we get into correcting, we want to take care of all of that. So this is one of my old favorites that I've gotten a lot of people addicted to, because it gives a glow but in a very subtle manner. So I'm just going to rub that all over her face. Even though I have to take care of her T-zone, I want her skin to still look very glowy. So I'm applying it everywhere. And you can even use it without makeup, by the way, because it just adds like a nice sheen, if you can see. But it's a very subtle manner, because on smoky eyes, on oily skin, we don't want to use any product that is too much shine, because we want the shine to remain subtle and glowy and not start looking like she has very oily skin. And I'm going to apply this on her T-zone. And just a little bit on her cheek here, because just right here is where she has slight pores. The rest of her skin's quite flawless. I'm going to take a blend and mix that on my palette. I'm going to take the smaller face blending brush, blend those. So bounce, bounce, bounce the blender. No wiping again. It's a lot of this motion, which is almost kind of pressing it into the skin. So even though it appears much darker on her skin tone right now, it's gonna make sure that all the makeup we do on top looks nice and seamless, because we won't have any issues with any grayness happening, etc. once we have this covered completely. And I'm going to start blending this into her skin. And really blend that in a circular motion into her skin to start making it seem like it's seamless, her skin flawless. Bouncing this again on her skin here, because I want the effect of the finished look to be like really pretty dewy skin, but of course with coverage. She has a lot of hair, mashallah, and just in the roots it's also going to look like it's contouring her face. I'm not going into her roots too much. I'm going to do that with my contouring color. Open, Sona, and look up. So make them pull their nose down a bit to also shade it. Blend it here. Right, and then I'm going to also take some concealer, take some of that out and apply that right under her eyes here. So I'm working quickly to make sure that I'm working on a foundation that's slightly damp, because as these start drying, it becomes harder to mix one formula into the other. I'm also taking some in the inner corner, up against Sona. And I'm going to come back in with the same color and go slightly towards the inner corner and blend any dark kind of residue happening here. And I'm going to go straight into adding a contour on her face, right? Because we do want this look to be nice and contoured. I'm applying this, just chin up a little bit and turn the side a little bit towards me. And we're going to blend this downwards. And I'm also going to take the same brush to the sides of her nose, and I'm going to take the rest of it into her hairline a little bit and work the dark a little bit into the hairline. Like I said, it's also going to create a nice contour shadow on her face and also make sure that that color blends into her hairline. I take my bigger blending brush and I'm just my beauty blender, and I'm just going to buff that into the skin. And I'm going to start drawing in my highlighting concealer. And dabbing that in. And also go up the sides of her nose with this concealing color and also under her eye. When I'm blending it out, and I'm going to draw one for you right now. This is the area, the surface area where it should be blended into the skin. I'm going to take some on my palette here. I'm going to take some and kind of accentuate this particular area. So open, Sona. Here a little bit, right on the sides of her forehead. I'm going to blend this into the nose a little bit. On the top of her lip here. So what this does is, even though we've added more product, it will start making the skin seem like it's nice and dewy and shining. Right, just adding it everywhere here, just on her collarbones here as well. I'm going to take some more and go over those areas again. Just turn this side, Sona, this side. And really push it into the skin. I'm going to apply a product that I quite love, but I don't like it on the face as much as I like it on the body. Something that I do on brides, which they quite love, but it's quite intense as far as shimmer is concerned, so I'm going to take it slow, right? I'm going to apply a little bit more just here also, where this shine is meeting the eyebrow, almost in a C here, like this, the letter C. I'm going to take it up a little bit as well. So you can tell that now this nice kind of flawless kind of shine is happening. So now I'm going to go back in with my setting powder And I'm going to go under her eye a little bit, just apply excess, because I'm going to do some under eye shadow. So we're going to let this set under her eye for 2 minutes. While we do that, I'm going to take it right up to the sides of her nose. Just up, Sona, look up. And I'm going to draw them a little bit more here. And I'm going to go under her eye with this bronzy color as well. So open. Just up again. Just blending that color under her eye. And now I'm going to start really going into her lash and painting her lashes, because she originally has a thick lash as well, then she has extensions, and we have a mascara with the false lash on top. So you want to make sure everything is getting covered with that. Up. I'm also going to do Sona's bottom lashes. So I'm really going in there with my wand, and this motion is like this, like you have to go back and like almost sideways. Can you see how it's coming together now? And I'm going to start kind of pressing this powder into her skin. I'm going to take this smaller beauty blender to go in the inner corner, right? And I'm also going to use the powder on her T-zone here a little bit. The reason why I'm letting it stay on her skin a little longer than I have on the others is that she has slightly, like I said, oilier skin. I'm going to take a big powder brush and I'm going to brush this powder all over her chest area, and we're going to just make her wear her necklace. So I'm just going to blend this powder that we applied on her T-zone into the skin as well. And the jewelry makes a huge difference because you start seeing the tones against the skin. We know what we're going to do. So I'm just going to make her wear her necklace. And if we can open the sides of her hair as well, because for her, she's a modern bride. A lot of brides I do now don't take dupattas on their heads. So you want to open her hair from the sides. Make her wear her earrings as well. So I want the look to start coming together before I know what all I'm highlighting, etc., taking away, adding, right? And I'm going to start drawing a lip shape. She's got a great lip shape, so I'm just following her own lip here. Stretch a bit, Sona, like almost like you're smiling like that. So I'm just going to shade on all sides. I'm just gonna color her sides in as well. Right, so just kind of shading and contouring around her lip. Do this, Sona, again. So the slight smile makes them stretch the lips, so it's easier to get into any areas that may miss the lipstick. I'm also going to go in her inner mouth, because if you notice, a lot of people's lipsticks tend to go from the inner mouth first. You want to make sure that's also covered. This is one of my favorite kind of nudie colors. And I'm going to start painting that with my lip brush across her lip. Just stretch again, Sona, for me. And keep your face slightly sideways like that and stretch. This is this pretty nudie, peachy kind of color that we're going to create. Because a lot of times a flat nude on a bride, I mean, that can look great as well, but a lot of people still want a hint of color. So I feel it's always slightly nicer for a bride to have, even if she wants to go in softer tones, to have a slight color to the tone. So I love this. It's one of my favorites. So just adding another layer. Right, and can you do a big ah, Sona? Yeah. I'm just gonna go in the inner corners of her mouth also. Stretch. So now I'm gonna go in with another favorite color, and I'm gonna take some on my hand, apply it in the center of this stone here. Now I'm going to come back in with my lip pencil, stretch, Sona, and I'm going to add slight depth in the outer corners again by just going over my lip line with this. And then blending it again with my lipstick so it doesn't look stark. I'm just taking a flat shader brush and I'm going to start cleaning around these edges. So I'm going to mix both these colors. Stretch your lip a little, Sona. So just gonna paint that on to give the lips a nice shine also, right in the center. And we're gonna hit it exactly where we hit the highlighting fluid, right? So I wanna really make that get into the skin for some additional highlight. I'm gonna bounce some on the edge of her nose also. And then of course those beauty bones here, a little bit on the chest, her neck, and if you can see already again, skin looks like it's nice and tiny. And I'm going to go back in with my eyebrow brush now, just do the beginning of her brows here. I'm going to brush it on my, spray it on my brush. And I'm going to set her eyebrows. Especially with thick brows, I feel the best setting is with a hairspray. Even under the tika, sometimes you have a hair or two, you can also kind of just take that away with your hairspray brush here. Drag out the edges very, very lightly, blending that edge out a little bit. So smile, Sona. And we're gonna hit this blush right at the apple of her cheek. Smile and look up. And once I've applied this to her skin, I'm going to press it in with my beauty blender, because you want to flatten the pigment a little bit so it doesn't make her pores seem like they're enlarged. Smile. Right in the end, I'm going to do a swipe of my black crack inside her eye. We're going to do this quickly so she doesn't water. So we're going to look up, Sona. Just going to add some, right? Take a deep breath. Just going to powder her T-zone a little bit more with my translucent powder. So just the center of her forehead, nose, chin, and just the sides here of her nose, so this area doesn't look too shiny. Just gonna blend that together and just hit it under her contour line here as well. Just accentuate this now a little bit and blend it out a bit. And I'm going to do the same with the translucent powder. I'm just going to bounce it on top of where we've accentuated that highlight and contour. Turn here a little bit. Up again. So now, as you can see, this is a gorgeous kind of dewy makeup on a Walima bride. It's still very much that intense smoky eye, but we've added a shimmer, both bronze and silver, to make sure that you get both those colors. It's still very modern. A lot of brides now don't like the dupatta on the head, hence we've created that hairdo as well, which kind of adds drama and doesn't really then make you miss a dupatta on the head. She's gonna be holding the dupatta. You can see the skin is gorgeously highlighted. The eyes look nice and intense. The lips are nice and soft but glossy. You know, it's going with her jewelry, it's going with her outfit. Her bone structure is really accentuated. This would be one of the examples of a Walima bride. I hope you guys learned something and see you for the next tutorial.